you love me, baby?
Why don't you love me?
Why don't you love me the way you used to?
Why don't you love me the way that you used to? Tell me your love has not disappeared. All that I have is a broken heart when your love is here.
You and I got to realize that without love, the house is not a home. Lately, you changed my life, and it just ain't right. For I love you, I feel alone.
Why don't you love me the way that you used to? Tell me your love has not disappeared.
I wanna know.
All that I have is a broken heart when your love disappears.
Your love faded. I thought that we could live a fantasy. Nothing but sunny days, baby, no pain. I come to know for love to grow, you gotta take some rain. That don't mean for love to be true. You gotta change the way I'm
Why
loving
don't
you.
you love me the way that you used to?
Tell
Tell
me,
me your love has not disappeared.
tell me, tell me, tell me.
All that I have is a broken heart when your
Will
love
be here.
disappears.
Tell me, why don't you love me,
Why
baby?
don't you love me?
Tell me your love ain't changed.
Why don't you love me?
We grow so far apart.
Why don't you
You
love
don't
me?
leave me with a broken
Why don't you
heart. Why don't you tell me? Why don't you love me? Ooh, why don't you leave me? Why don't you love me? Tell me,
Why don't you love me the way that you used to? Tell me your love has not disappeared.
I wanna know.
All that I have is a broken heart when your love disappears. Why don't you love me the way that you used to?
I know, baby, I gotta know.
Why don't you love me the way that you used to?
Why don't you love me? Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me.
Why don't you love me the way that you used to? Tell me your love has not disappeared. All that I have is a broken heart when your love disappears. Why don't you love?
Why don't you love me?
Why don't you?
Why don't you love me?
Why don't you? Why don't you love?
Why don't you love me?
Why don't you? Why don't you love?
Why?
Why don't you? Why don't you? Why don't you love me the way that you used to? Tell me your love has not disappeared.
I gotta know.
All that I have is a broken heart when your love disappears.
Your love ain't here.
Why don't you love me the way that you used to? Tell me your love has not
Baby, your
disappeared.
love ain't
All
here.
that I have is a broken heart when your love disappears.
Your love ain't here.
Why don't you love